Everyone assumes Mommy Longlegs was simply another boss you had to defeat, just another horrifying experiment on Playtime Co.'s list. But there's something about her that doesn't quite add up. Because when you connect the dots between what happened with Doey the Doughman, what happened with Huggy Wuggy, and what's happening right now with the prototype, you start to realize something much darker. You didn't kill Mommy Longlegs, the prototype did. And it wasn't because she was weak or useless to his army. It was because she was the last real threat the prototype had left. Well, let me explain. The prototype, Experiment 1006, isn't a monster that attacks on instinct like Yarnaby or Pionosaurus. The prototype is someone who uses strategy, and we've seen that over and over again. He didn't fight Doey the Doughman directly. Instead, he used you. He manipulated you into entering Safe Haven, activating the valves and destroying it, creating a situation where you and Doey would end up fighting each other, allowing you to defeat the only experiment that could truly stand against them on equal footing. Doey was so powerful that even the prototype didn't want to challenge him without a plan. And what did the prototype do to defeat him? Nothing. He let you do the dirty work while he watched. That's the pattern. And once you see it, the deaths of other experiments start looking very different. Huggy Wuggy was the first major example. The prototype watched you defeat him at the factory entrance, and that's when he realized something very important. The player is useful. The player can eliminate experiments that would be difficult for me to deal with myself. From that moment on, we stopped being victims trapped inside Playtime Co., and we became a weapon. But with that said, let's talk about Mommy Longlegs. And what I'm about to tell you is what makes her different from every other experiments you've faced. Because yes, Doey was powerful, Catnap was terrifying, but Mommy Longlegs represented something the prototype couldn't afford to ignore. First, Mommy Longlegs had absolutely no mental stability. Mommy Longlegs wasn't loyal to anyone. She killed Playtime Co. employees during the Hour of Joy, but she also killed other experiments, her own companions. God, she even killed Daddy Longlegs, her supposed companion, so she would stay calm. She tore through the members of Game Station without hesitation. She didn't follow the prototype's orders, and she didn't follow anyone's orders. She operated directly through chaos, and chaos is very difficult to control or predict. The prototype can manipulate someone who's afraid, or he can manipulate someone who wants power. But he cannot manipulate someone who simply enjoys killing without a clear goal. Second, Mommy Longlegs was immune to his main method of control. The prototype possesses an ability that makes him incredibly dangerous. He can imitate voices. We've seen it with Ollie, employees, and other experiments. He uses your trust, your innocence, and your desire to help a frightened child to guide you exactly where he wants you to go. But against Mommy Longlegs, that tactic was useless. If he imitated an old employee, it wouldn't have worked because she hated all of them. She spent years tearing them apart, so hearing the voice of a scientist wouldn't have calmed her down. It would have made her even angrier. And what about imitating one of the Playcare children? That wouldn't have worked either. She knew those children. She spent time with them. She knew who they were and what they sounded like. The prototype couldn't simply invent a voice and expect her to fall for it. Without voice manipulation, the prototype loses his greatest advantage. And Mommy Longlegs understood that from the very beginning. Third, she was a real physical threat. Just look at her design. 4 elastic limbs, a reach that can cover entire rooms, the agility to move across ceilings, walls, and practically anywhere she wants. Meanwhile, the prototype has 6 limbs and appears incredibly agile, but his body is heavier and, more importantly, slower. Mommy Longlegs could attack from angles he couldn't easily cover. In a direct confrontation, victory wasn't guaranteed for either side, and as we already know, the prototype doesn't take risks. That's the key to all of this. So now you have Mommy Longlegs, unstable, impossible to manipulate through voice imitation, physically capable of posing a legitimate threat, and completely outside of his control. The prototype couldn't leave her alive, but he couldn't kill her himself either. Doing that would have been too risky. There was always the possibility that he could end up seriously injured or even killed. He needed someone else to enter Game Station, complete the games, and eliminate her without having to lift a finger. That's where you come in. You enter Game Station, you play the games, you keep moving forward, and throughout all of it, the prototype simply watches from the shadows. He never stops you. He allows you to get closer and closer to Mommy Longlegs until you finally deal with her yourself. In fact, part of me believes that Poppy's kidnapping was planned by the prototype. Maybe the reason Mommy Longlegs says he'll make me part of him. He'll make me part of him! While she's being pulled into the grinder is because those were the exact words the prototype told her shortly before we arrived at Game Station. What if he was the one who warned Mommy that Poppy was coming? What if he told her to keep Poppy captive and eliminate Player? And what if the alternative was death, obey, or become part of him? Either way, after crossing all of Game Station, when you finally confront Mommy Longlegs and she ends up trapped inside the grinder, where is the prototype? He is watching, waiting for her to die. And once it's over, he takes what's left of her. Mommy Longlegs' arms were in scraps he picked up from the floor. They were a trophy, and they were a message to every experiment still left inside the factory. This is what happens when you don't follow my orders. It doesn't matter how dangerous you are. I'm always in control. So, my friends, the events of Chapter 2 weren't just another boss fight, and they weren't just a survival story. The entire chapter was planned execution orchestrated by the only experiment intelligent enough to never get his own hands dirty. The prototype. Mommy Longlegs didn't lose to you. She lost to the prototype. You simply made sure to get the job done. In fact, Modern Entertainment itself confirmed that Mommy Longlegs is completely insane. And if you think Mommy Longlegs was the only one, just wait until you see what's happening with the experiments everyone thought were dead, because the prototype isn't finished cleaning up the factory. And what happens in Chapter 6 is gonna change everything you think you know about who's really on whose side. So, if you enjoyed the video and want more Poppy Playtime content, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.